are back.
Back.
I'm
What's up, LinkedIn?
back between the boys.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Nice.
good evening, everybody.
You know, it was interesting with your picture, your GIF, however you say that, from the one that you made last week. It was moving so fast and it was so cool. And then Jackie, who was our guest, our co-host fill-in for you, Corey, last week, I was like, she did this cool thing where she took a screenshot. So when she took the screenshot, she was able to capture one image. But how many images did you make last week, Martin?
So normally it's about 25 to 30 sketches per show. So just listening to what people are saying and making visual records. And then I export all of those pictures off my iPad, put them into Keynote, export a GIF, but I make the GIF the fastest it can possibly be to intentionally screw with people as they're watching.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. And I was here and I was like, what did he even capture? So, hey, Andrew, thanks for being here.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. Andrew sent me a picture of some pickles called Martin's Pickles.
Oh,
right. Martin's Pickles.
Yeah, he's going to send me a jar of my own pickles that I didn't know I had. So thank you, Andrew, for the pickles.
Nice.
That's
story right there.
And of course, we've got Gigi in the house. Gigi, we always appreciate you being here.
Excellent. Hey, Golden. Hey, Gigi.
Yeah. So catch us up.
Should we introduce ourselves quickly if anyone's not familiar with who we are?
Sure. So go ahead, Martin.
Well, I am Martin. I'm a crocodile wrestler, and that means that's what it feels like being the father of 4-year-old twins. I've literally just put them to bed here in the UK, and then I'm jumping onto WTF NFTs with the wonderful.
I am Dr. Stacey Gonzalez. I am an educator turned entrepreneur who is interested in all things at the intersection of technology and education. And being a strong, fierce woman. So I'm excited to be here today to talk about NFTs.
I am Corrales, and I'm the founder of Brand New Voices, exploring Web3 communities with these fine folks and a lot of other people that are traversing this space. And I also do bank marketing, and so interested in the connection between communities and finance and this new Web3 stuff. So.
And you're also not 100% feeling well today, so we're going to go easy on you.
I'm not. Thank you.
We're going to be nice.
I got a cold. I don't think it's. People keep saying, "Did you get COVID?" And I don't. I was on a trip. I went to Memphis to see my family, and I don't think I got sick on the plane, but long story. But this is the first time I've been sick in 2 years, actually.
And you're back, though. You're back, and you've done some. I know, because last week you weren't here, and you've got a lot to catch us up on.
And I wanted to say, Jackie, who was on the show, I didn't actually see the whole thing because I was with my family, but I caught some of the really good parts, and I really enjoyed the banter between you and Jackie, and just it was really informative. Like I thought she was awesome. So
she's amazing. Yeah. We were talking before the live, and then the post show, right? I always call it the after party. I don't know if it's called an after party in Toucan, but I feel like if it's a Toucan, it should be a party. Like that sounds fun, right? And so in the after party, she was there. Some other people popped in, and like we're dropping some straight hardcore knowledge. And so like but Martin even was saying like, what WTF are they even talking about right now? And so, right. Yeah. Our goal of this live and of this space is to explore all things kind of happening at that intersection of this new Web3 world, crypto, blockchain, NFT, social tokens. How's it all coming together, right?
Can we just explain what the toucan is for everybody?
Yeah, go ahead, Martin.
Sorry, Corrales, to cut you in.
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were. Go ahead.
The Toucan is our after-show community hangout. So you guys graciously give us half an hour, 45 minutes of your time to listen to us explore what NFTs are for us in our world. And then we go straight from here into Toucan. We share the link in the chat, and you can come and join us and be part of the conversation. So the whole reason this exists is because of interesting community. And so community isn't about passively listening to three people talk. It's about having a voice, and that's what we do at Toucan.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. And that's the big reason we created this show together, was that it's a community event, and the Toucan is really an important part of that. And I think it's nice to seed those conversations later with what we're talking about now, and move those over, because, there's so many big things, obviously, that happen every week that we all kind of go down rabbit holes individually. So it's kind of exciting when we all come together, but it's also obviously very chaotic. And I think that's part of why we did this show, right? Like, to kind of bring it down to the human level, bring it down to earth, because it can get so technical. And I think what I wanted to address was, speaking to that, was, bringing it back to the important genesis of what all, like, the NFT itself. And it's kind of connected to when Jackie was on, and Stacey, we were talking about this yesterday in a call, but kind of women's role in blockchain. And Jackie, I didn't realize when I met her, I didn't realize until the show that she has supply chain, and this kind of deep supply chain and blockchain. And that's really when I was in the space, and, before all this NFTs and, DAOs and stuff back in 2017, started, getting involved in this stuff. I started, women in supply chain, logistics, and blockchain were the first ones I knew. Like, I followed them. I followed all their content, and there weren't a lot of them. It was hard, but you found out there were. They're hard to find. And that's how the space has been, like, very dormant, but I feel like the women in blockchain have been building these systems that we're all kind of enjoying now. And so it's important, I think, to keep reminding that's the really genesis of a lot of this stuff. Like, we can go further back, but women really were the leaders in a lot of the blockchain projects, but they don't generally get recognized, because suddenly, Mark Zuckerberg announces the metaverse, and that takes over everything, right? Sucks the air out. So I think when we talk about Web3, it tends to, I'm seeing a lot of kind of, I guess I'm frustrated because, over the weekend I've gotten in, I was on a thread with Lee Jin, and, and it was like, a lot of people know her in the space as a sort of like a thinker and industry leader. And I really like her take on so many things, and the human level of where this is at and where it's headed and what it means. But you see this real sense of kind of bitterness around that. There seems to be a perception that Web3 is this, and NFTs and all this stuff is just magic beans, and people are screwing each other left and right, and they're promising the world, they're stealing people's money, and it goes on and on and on. And that's definitely true. There's a lot of that going on. It's been going on since, Bitcoin. But Bitcoin people would say, how long, we're just used to it in the world of fiat. And, how many, the 2008 financial crisis took down the entire globe. And you're not, is that to say that those, like, deal making and bad toxicity in financial markets and was not there? I mean, clearly that was what a lot of people forget. This has been going on. All this stuff that we're seeing now, Web3, started in 2008 when the financial crisis happened. That's what sparked it. In 2009, the Bitcoin white paper came out, and no one really paid attention to it until just recently. But now we're seeing all these people starting to think it's all new, and it's not. It's not new at all.
Well, but it's new for a lot of us, right? And it's new in a way that, like, to kind of where you started, at least for somebody like me who spent my career in a totally different industry, right? I spent my career working my way up through like the corporate version of public education. And so what's exciting for me and for other, you bring up women, and that's the thing I really love about working with the two of you, with Martin and you, Corey, is that you're super, I guess maybe the word would be allies or supporters or, promoters of women and underrepresented voices, especially. And so somebody like me who doesn't have a finance background necessarily, doesn't have, I have a tech background, of course, but not in the way in which we think Silicon Valley tech world, right? And so there's this opportunity which is what's exciting to me, for women to be able to start making both, income and passive income using, some of these. If we can lower the bar of like the scariness factor, right, to help women kind of get over that threshold. Because one of the things as women that is really hard is we play a lot of roles, and those roles define us in many ways and are competing with each other. And so I have this strong, desire to help women who want to learn and grow and who don't necessarily know. I don't have it all figured out. That's why we're doing the show, right? I don't know how to stake a DAO or create, mint an NFT, but I'm willing to learn and experiment so I can bring and help other women do that as well.
Yeah. And that's, I think, your role and Jackie and some of the other folks that you've been meeting, these are really critical. And that's, that brings it to this idea of the NFT artists. That's another thing that, this is another thing that is really I think there's going to be a lot of hurt financial people who are in traditional finance that really are going to be very, very bitter at what the new way is, how these artists are shaping the global financial world. We're not talking about, selling some art. There's that too. That's a wonderful thing. But what I don't think anybody really realized, even people deep in crypto, was like how it has exploded in the last year, and it's leading financial systems. So a lot of traditional finance people, bankers included, a lot of these guys, Wall Street guys, I don't care how many years you've been doing it or how rich you got, there's a big misunderstanding of that. Those are generally the ones you see the pushback coming from, the old guard, Warren Buffett and these guys, like, this is magic bean stuff. This is all just nonsense. And I'm thinking, how much did Warren Buffett invest in Coca-Cola, which, gives people, unheard of, diseases over, like all kinds of, people walking around fat from McDonald's and sick. And, these are investors, right?
Make sure you get that in the NFT, fat from McDonald's.
Yeah. And so it's really upsetting to hear that stuff coming from these, billionaire types and it's not just billionaires, it comes from a lot of people that refuse to acknowledge the place of the artist, that they finally have a place. They have a very important place now. And then beyond that, it's women. And so you see a lot of misogyny. Twitter is full of it, of people going after women. There's one high profile one the other day about this NFT art collector who they tried to out her as a man because she's wealthy, she's made a lot of money and she's not shy about it. But that they wouldn't do that to a man, but they made up all kinds of nasty things. And that was the NFT community. That was, this is the, that's the thing we have to realize. And that's why it's important to realize, women really did. Women and, you know, a lot of people in Africa have started these things long before that suddenly there's all this, you know, oh my gosh, of people that are just tuning in sort of and going, this is all a big scam. And I find that really disingenuous. You know, like it's one thing to say I'm confused, but it's another thing to say this is a scam and then leave it at that. Like the entire thing is a scam. Like I agree. Like some of it is very difficult. There are scams. There's a lot of that going on. There's illicit stuff happening. We need to obviously shape it just like we've done with the internet. The internet keeps moving. You know, you can't just eliminate the internet. You wouldn't want to do that, but there's awful things that happen on the internet, obviously, and whatever. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's just something I think
well,
is.
it is. It's such a new. It's such a new field. It's a new industry. I mean, we're talking decentralized finance is a new industry that didn't exist before, right? And so the tentacles of this are really deep. We just started talking about NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens, for those who are watching, which really is a digital asset that anybody can create online, and then that digital asset gets assigned a series of markers, and those markers indicate you as the owner or somebody else that you sell it to, and that's all hard coded that it truly belongs to you. And so the implications of that are great, but I like what you're kind of pointing out is we bring it back to this idea of this movement really is deeply entrenched in the arts, and those based on these values of thinking differently about the things that we hold near and dear and what's important to us. And so while there are, I know I'm the naive altruistic one, that's kind of where I typically land. But yes, are there bad guys? Of course. But are there better guys like us out there who want to do the right thing, who maybe don't understand the space or whatever, but are willing to? Yes. And I think there's room. I think there's plenty of room for new people in this space. And even though there are things that are going to be scary, that are going to be uncertain, I don't think that should stop us from moving forward.
Yeah. And I totally, all that said, like many months ago, I interviewed she's an artist and she's older, and she lives in Mexico City now, and she's an amazing artist, just incredible. But she struggled with breaking, like she didn't like all the tech talk, and she would go to Clubhouse. I met her in Clubhouse at the time, and all these NFT artists who were, flying high and young bucks and all that, they were sort of like dressing her down, like, you got to get up to speed, come on, like. And she was like, I'm 70 plus years old. I just want to make my art, and I want to build a community of people that are trying to get into the space. I can show them, but it's hard when I don't even know. I'm feel shut out, and so she's got this incredible art, but she's an NFT artist. But I think it's hard that, we had a long talk about what are her pain points and what kind of, community she's trying to build. And so it's complicated, like even within the realm of the artist itself, right?
I mean, this is so complicated and so new. And anybody out there who's a creator or which, Corey, I know you and I talk about like entrepreneur, like creator entrepreneurs, right? And what does that mean if you're a content entrepreneur and if you're a community builder? And we've had lots of conversations about this. And I think what is really interesting, because I think about startup culture and I think about traditional companies and how startup, especially in tech, right? Tech startup companies. What I'm watching happening is completely changing the dynamic of organizations where the inception point. And it's fascinating because there's so much potential now with NFTs, social tokens, ways in which people can engage in community in different ways and have a sense of belonging. I mean, I think that's one thing that going back to our earlier comments, when we think about people who are marginalized in any way, shape, or form, or women or people of color, and right, what does that mean for us to be able to show up in community and immediately be able to have a place where everyone feels like he or she belongs, in the way that if you want to not show your face and you want to be a cartoon, I'm using cartoon character, that might not be the right terminology, but a icon of some sort that's digital, that's completely acceptable. You get to decide what's right for you. And it's also really exciting for me, because we've been in these communities and spaces where people are divided. Especially in the States, we're a very divided, we're living on these polarized spaces. And I think what the beauty of this new emerging space is allowing people to talk about what they care about and what matters to them, without, I'm not saying there's not going to be political discourse or some of those things happening, of course, but it really allows for a depth of conversation more on a value and a belief level versus just what is potentially perception.
Well, I wanted to shout out some folks on the thread.
Yeah. Who we got?
Pretty cool to see you guys here. I want to call in Jamal. Hey, Jamal.
Hey, Jamal. And we should totally bring Jamal on one day. He'll have something to say, I'm sure.
Definitely. Toucan feels like behind the scenes where we reintroduce ourselves and open up more topics. I love it there. Yes, we love it there too. Thank you, Gigi. And awesome people. You're awesome, Jamal. You're awesome.
Martin, what connections have you made between last week, this week, and now?
So it's really interesting listening to what you guys are saying, and we're sort of reflecting and externalizing how we're feeling. And then I was suddenly, as I do most weekends, I'm like, oh no, I haven't done anything on my NFT journey really, apart from get a bit freaked out by watching TikTok videos of people.
I love the TikTok videos you send us. Those are like on fire. Like, I learned so much in a 2-minute TikTok video. I love it.
You get some amazing channels where people are like doing what we're doing and saying, hey, let's walk this back to the very beginning, keep it simple and keep it relatable. And then you get some people going, I just and so last night when I was thinking like, okay, we've got to make a flyer for the show, because NFTs are really visual, but at the same time they're like digital flyers. They're ephemeral. Yet some of them have insane amounts of value stuck on them. And some of them, like, did you hear about the 12-year-old young lady, 12-year-old, who's made $4 million from selling NFTs?
Well, no.
She has come up, she has cracked the Bored Yacht Club guys, the Bored Ape, whatever they're called.
Wow.
And like, you can see all the imitators who jump on the bandwagon and really try to kind of rip it off without really having a story, whereas she's figured something out that has clicked in people's imaginations, and she's dropped her NFTs, and she's made $4 million. And
what do you think her secret? What's her thing? I don't know about it.
I literally have spent 10 seconds looking at it, but when I look at the artwork, she's a talented artist, but she's created a story, and a story that people can buy into and invest into. And it's almost like the story of, oh, I have the NFT from, a 12-year-old. That in itself is a story. That's
what? It's an empowerment story. It's like this is beyond age. Like, there's not an age limit to enter in. That's really, you can be a 12-year-old girl,
right
in the space.
And we've spoken about this before. So it's like the first NFT drop was one that you not only did it have the code that tells you that this is the first one, but it was the first one. And then you've got the first one from Africa we talked about before being very valuable. Now we've got the first one from a young minor artist. Not a minor in ability, but age-wise, like.
Yes.
So it's like, what is, because it's like, if it's like another white guy who tries to create some visual artwork and sell them as an NFT, that's so not a story. That's boring. Whereas and it's not about being a minority or about being anybody of a particular race or gender or age, but it's like it's just different. And I think that's what NFTs are bottling the lightning of different in this code that we can take with us. So basically, I sort of freaked out last night and was like, I don't know what I'm going to say about NFTs. And then I thought about the show, and then I create the flyer, and like, so every show has its own flyer, and every show has its own GIF as a result. And they're almost NFTs that I'm not minting, but maybe they'll get minted in the future. So every show would create an NFT line.
And what do you like when you say?
Wait, hold on. Didn't you pick what was the image, like a Coliseum or something?
Exactly. It was a relic. It was prehistoric. It was outdated. It was crumbling. It used to be a massive empire, but now it is part of our history. So it was my feeling about, oh shit, we're moving into a new age, and we're kind of hanging on to the side of the train, going as the train flies off into Mars.
And Martin, how do you suggest when you we talk about the importance of story, and I feel like marketing people really know about story, like they understand the concept, but when it comes to NFTs, it's like, well, how are you, obviously if it's a visual. So when you say, like, the girl, she tells her story through how, so is she building community? How is she telling her story? Just
I didn't even get that far. Like, I'm terrible at going deep dive. I do what the Malcolm Gladwell, I blink and I take a snapshot and I make an assumption of that snapshot. But I saw
for yourself, like for you, when you're doing your own and you're thinking about minting, what are you thinking about of conveying the story of your art? Or just it stands on its own, or which is fine. I'm just curious how you're thinking of it.
I suppose I'm thinking out loud right now, but I'm thinking like, this is the story. And once we get to 100 shows, then there'll be 100 pieces of artwork. And then if you throw that into the Megatropolis algorithm randomizer, you can suddenly spit out 10,000 pieces of artwork, which could be a mashup of every single show and every single idea. And then that is the story. So it's like the long game.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to fabricate a story and make people interested in something for no real reason, is to slow it down a bit, be consistently showing up and asking questions and falling over and getting lost and figuring it out and listening, to then be able to have something that ultimately, does anybody care about? Probably not. But
I love when Martin drops deep truth like that. That's just like, boom, right? He's like, I don't know. I'm going to think out loud, mate. And then he like drops.
That's Andy. You're thinking of Andy.
Right? And then he drops like straight up what to me. So here's why I had the light bulb or the blowing up emoji thing happening in my sphere here, is because what Martin just said is the Web3 model. If I had to say what the Web3 model is, when we think about, I keep going back to like startup culture, but it could be community building. It could be whatever. We come together with people, we experiment, we muddle through, we create as we go, we figure it out as we go, we allow more voice to shape that. And then you let others help you decide what is of value as the story continues to unfold.
Yeah, that's a really great way to put, like, that's how I think of community. And when we talk about building the stories, I think of, that's why I was asking Martin what he thinks, because I think, these are all converging into, eventually it all becomes community somehow. I mean, whether it's done like this, that we're on the show and we've got, our community in the comments, they're part of this too, this journey with us. We're like, those are communities to me. And so the NFT is really that kind of joining all those things together, I guess, in a visual. That's kind of how I'm thinking of it now, that the community is all attached to it somehow. and that's what keeps driving the I don't want to say value in terms of like monetary, but value in the experience, right? And monetary, frankly, because I think that's what you see a lot of brands are just trying to experiment with the community, and there's monetary. So like that's how, you know, the DAOs, I'm finding out as I'm exploring like this crazy DeFi space, that's how these DAOs are getting created. Some of them is that they're communities, but they're also there's monetary, and so this gets complicated, obviously, but it's really fascinating to see. So NFTs, you know, Kevin Logan, who's deep in this space, commented on my thread yesterday or today about the convergence of the NFT, the NFTs, the DAOs, the communities, you know, all this stuff, the crypto, like it's all literally, you know, and then it's driving. The interesting thing to me is it's driving finance. It's starting to drive economics and like global economics and finance, and then metaverse. Like this is all connected. And I wanted to go over. I know we're running out of time, but this is one thing I wanted to kind of bring it all together. Of what's this new project called Neo Tokyo, and it's this sort of I guess that it's not new. It was earlier this month, but it's a really fascinating project about a lot of NFT artists are coming together with game makers, and because gaming, you know, is becoming this you're getting paid to play, and I think a lot of people are like, I certainly was like, what does that mean? Pay to play? Like sit around playing a game and I get paid? And it's like, yes, but it's more. When I saw this, it made a lot more sense because you're seeing like the convergence of the artist and the game makers, and what's really happening. I think I haven't done a total deep dive on this new Tokyo thing, but what they're really doing, and they'll join it with the metaverse eventually, is they're starting to build new societies, or there's a kind of like city planners of our future. You can see it happening. It's fascinating. Like it's all.
Well, it's the first time we have a convergence of, in a deep way around people who've been living in these engineering type tech spaces, right? We talked that I full circle back, right, to access, and people who have different types of skill sets. And so we're allowing people to kind of come together and create in ways that just typically, right, you think right brain, left brain, and we're not necessarily, if you're a left brainer, you're on that tech, you're on that analytical, mathematical side. And if you're on the right brainer, creative, visionary, right, all that, you kind of, those two don't meet. Maybe in Hollywood, we have a little bit of hopefully seeing that there. But it's certainly a time where many people can enter in, and wherever they want to enter in from this space, I think it behooves us to kind of create, which is why we do this show, just an access point. We're just trying to create an access point, which may resonate with somebody who resonates with me or Martin or you versus right. As opposed to like, there's people on LinkedIn, they're never going to go into Discord channel. That's just the reality, right? We've been on this platform for a long time. I mean, right. And we've been on this platform for a long time and we see it coming. And so we're saying, here's how you can enter in from the space that you're at right now.
Yeah, and Gigi, who's into gaming, if ever, you know, he's into this kind of gaming, metaverse, NFT stuff. He's a great one to connect with and knows a lot about this. And that's what I think now I'm starting to really understand what this DeFi thing is doing, where it's incredible. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars in some of these coins. They're sort of like they start as coins, but they're connected to gaming culture. And so now I'm starting to see, okay, this is why people are saying this is a Ponzi scheme. This stuff is a big, like they're ripping people off. It's billions of dollars now. So some of them are like, that's happening. But what's also happening is this fascinating completely new way of how you can fund and grow entire maybe even countries one day, like through these things where people are there's community, they're getting paid. There's workers, maybe these are the gamers, but they're working towards a goal.
Or it's contributors, right? We all are a part of communities where it's like game's a stretch, but it's exciting to us and it's fun for us because it's interesting and we're contributing and we're right. And so we're building in that way. Martin, did you want to add anything before we break to go to the Toucan?
No, I think I'm good. I mean, I'm just listening and just processing and absorbing it. Really, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't want to push us, but I feel like we can move into the Toucan and have other people be a part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, please join us in the Toucan.
Oh, do we need to drop the link?
Yes. Yes. Drop the link. It was really funny, Corey, last week. Martin was so into his sketching that the live was over and Jackie and I are just sitting there waiting. And we're like, Martin, I think I think you forgot us here. He's like, oh yeah, I was sketching. Hold on, let me get back to
you. That's a real artist right there.
It's a real artist. True commitment to his craft. All right, are we good, Martin?
Yeah, I can't see if the link's in the stream. Let me check on my phone.
Oh, okay.
This is always the real smooth part of the show.
Well, and my computer's so slow.
How do you do?
Running
so do you have to go into Facebook to post the Toucan link? Is that how it works? I mean, not Facebook, LinkedIn.
No, I just can't see the chat here.
Let me see. I
think look I can post it in. I might have gotten there, you guys.
Oh, there it is. I have it. Do you want to do it, Stacy?
Yeah, but I need the right link, and I don't want to botch it.
I should have all of this all pre-prepared, but never do.
No,
I had it. Listen, I had it prepared. My computer is just super slow. Do you like
I'm posting it. I just posted it in the chat.
Perfect. Yeah, I couldn't get there. Okay.
So there's a link in there for app.toucan.events.
Perfect. Yeah, let's.
Okay. Well, we'll see you. I'm going to join that, and we'll see you guys in there.
Okay. Yeah. See you there. Yeah. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.